Hey everybody, I'm standing here with a good friend of mine, Dr. Wade Parkhill, and Wade and I were just having a good conversation about growth in your office and numbers and new patients, which is all good, but there's a big problem we just discussed in your practice potentially when it comes to a different statistic. What number was it that we were talking about?
We were talking about percent kept.
Percent kept, and how did we used to talk about it in the olden days?
Missed appointments, which is a negative context.
Right. So we were talking about retention and growth and how some docs fill up with new patients, some of the stuff we're teaching, but they don't keep them. And we got into this topic of retention and growth. And I said, a lot of times missed appointments is the problem. What Wade shared, it was in his office, they keep a statistic, not on missed appointments because it's
negative. Yeah, we don't want negative.
We don't want negative. So what's the term that you use?
So I want to know how many people are showing up to my office in a positive way. So we use the term percent kept, and that's the responsibility of the front desk to come in and give us that at every staff meeting. And so I want to know that that percent kept number stays above 88%. If it starts dipping below that, then we start asking questions. What's happening on the phone? Do we need to do some training, one-on-one?
And that's huge. There's a couple things he just went through. Number one is it's a percent kept statistic. Number two, somebody on his team keeps track of it, which is obviously the front desk who can control it. And then the third thing that I think he just went through that is brilliant is there is a percentage that is maintained or excelled through in successful offices. What was that number again?
88%.
88% kept appointments. Now explain what that means in a regular practice. How does that number happen daily?
All right, let's just give an easy number. Let's say a doctor's seeing, or an office seeing 200 visits a week. And 50 of those visits are no-shows, reschedules, whatever it may be. You're dropped down to 150. Well, there's 50 visits. Let's say your dollar visit average, let's say just $50 to keep
These
it
are
simple.
all modest numbers, right?
Yeah.
200 visits a week, not a huge practice. $50 a visit, not a ton of money.
Yeah, it's $2,500 a week. So you're looking at $10,000 a month. If you extrapolate that over a year, you're leaving $120,000 on the table.
Right, serious money. So this is basically the $120,000 tip, and probably for most of you more money than that. I know in our practice for sure, those numbers would be much bigger. It could be 120 grand per month, that you'd be leaving on the table and missed appointments. So the key here is it's percent kept, and then realizing 88% is the magic number. And if you keep it above that, in other words, you have 200 visits on the books and you keep 90% of those, well, then you're seeing 180 a week.
Right.
You've kept it above that percentage. You've now got 30 visits more than if you weren't looking at this stat.
Right.
And whatever you measure in your practice is going to be something you're going to grow. So percent kept in a positive tone is something you want to grow. You don't want to measure in negative categories. That would be a terrible thing. Whatever you put your focus on grows.
Right.
And even smarter than that is what Wade does in his office is he has the CA that's in control of that.
That's their product.
That's their product. It's making producers out of here. There's a whole different conversation going to happen on this. I'm probably going to interview him for a webinar because the more we got into this, it is their product. Then you make producers. Then you have what we call in your practice an intrapreneur, not an entrepreneur, but an intrapreneur. They get those numbers, they measure at the meeting, it comes back, your practice grows. We dump in new patients with a corporate skeleton key. They retain them through systems. This stuff goes on and on and on. If you think it's just rhetoric, all you would have to do is look at his practice. Over 100 grand a month in cash that they collect. I love getting together with big vision, big production people. He's one of these guys that I enjoy doing that with, and I wanted to share with you because it's such a great concept. And the more we broke it down, I realized, hey, docs don't know this. You got to know this. So look at your percent kept. Look for a webinar coming up with my buddy Wade Parkhill, and look for me just because I'm good looking.